Christine Pitawanich with your weekly recap, where we catch you up on some of the biggest stories of the week. We begin with a 19-year-old headed to prison for killing his best friend in a street racing crash. On Thursday, Juan Medina Dominguez pleaded guilty to criminally negligent homicide, reckless driving, and unlawful street takeover. It happened last November near North Marine Drive and Ledbetter Road. Investigators say Medina Dominguez was doing donuts when his car flipped onto its side, killing 17-year-old Cameron Lively, who was in the passenger seat. Cameron's parents addressed him at yesterday's hearing.
I watched you that following Monday walk into arraignment with no remorse. You had the audacity to plead not guilty.
I don't think Juan should spend the rest of his life in jail. You know what? I can't imagine what it would be like with him having to live with the fact that he killed his best friend.
The judge sentenced Medina Dominguez to 3 years and 3 months in prison, with credit for 3 of the months he already spent in jail. The city of Portland is trying to recover millions of dollars after getting duped by a cyber scam. The city says someone posing as a city contractor used a fake email, fake documents, but a real project to steal $6.7 million designated for the Bull Run filtration project. According to a lawsuit filed in New York, the scammer got access to the city's payment system and changed the account on file to one they controlled. With help from the FBI, the money was frozen. We spoke to a cybersecurity group about the things hackers look out for.
And they do reconnaissance, and they will look for information. For example, what kind of business deals is the city of Portland doing? Where is a spot where I can slip myself in and do some damage?
The mayor's office sent a statement that said, in part, "We're grateful for the fast action of local and federal law enforcement to stop the fraudulent transfer before it landed in the wrong hands. As far as we know at this time, no arrests have been made." Intel announced another round of mass layoffs after a less than stellar first quarter report that showed flat revenue compared to the same period last year. Bloomberg reports the company is planning another 20% cut to its global workforce as part of a strategy to refocus on a, quote, engineering-driven structure under the company's new CEO. Intel already laid off 15,000 workers this past October, including 1,300 in Oregon. And speaking of cuts, the Multnomah County Chair's proposed budget includes cuts to almost all programs and departments as the county faces its largest deficit in over a decade. In total, just over 100 jobs across the county are on the chopping block. County Chair Jessica Vega-Peterson says the budget was built to prioritize programs serving the most vulnerable in the community, including homeless services. But even that is facing cuts. In a press conference on Thursday, District Attorney Nathan Vasquez pushed back on the chair's proposed cuts to public safety.
And the reality is this budget and the chair's budget absolutely does not support public safety in this community, and the community deserves better.
I can understand, being disappointed, but it's a time when all of us have to, tighten our belts and really look at and prioritize on what matters most.
In a statement, Vega-Peterson said the DA's budget has increased 57% since 2019 and said, quote, "No one jumps the line and gets special treatment because they go on TV and talk loudly," end quote. Meantime, Portland Public Schools' new budget proposal for the upcoming school year includes $40 million in cuts. The district would axe at least 155 positions within schools and 85 central administration roles. It also plans to blend some of the 4th and 5th grade classrooms together. Some dual language programs in middle schools will also be reduced.
And while the message may be familiar, the weight of this moment has not been lessened. We are facing a $40 million deficit, and we shared our beginning steps to address that. We are in our 3rd consecutive year of a structural deficit.
The district says this is a preliminary proposed budget and could be revised after officials gather more information. In Clark County, it appears voters have rejected the Battleground School District's request for more money. The unofficial results from Clark County show it failed by about 500 votes. Alma McCarty has the details.
Voters in the Battleground School District will be asked to consider a replacement education and operations levy.
Despite educational videos, FAQs, and a community push,
we're dead in the water.
The latest results from the Clark County special election showed the Battleground Public Schools replacement levy failing to pass.
Every school is going to be affected one way or the other by this levy not passing.
Terry Dotson with Battleground Citizens for Better Schools explains this was the second time this year they looked to voters for funding approval.
We lost the first levy in February by 60 votes.
The district says the levy dollars made up the difference between what the state provides and what it actually costs to run a school. A spokesperson confirming that they are moving forward with $20 million in cuts for next year, which means approximately 200 employees will be let go and many programs will be affected.
Dotson, a grandparent to kids in this district, says students will lose out.
The bus routes will be longer. It will eliminate middle school sports, which just came back after a 25-year hiatus. It's going to be a reduction in psychologists, reduction in teacher librarians, a reduction in teachers holistically.
I love education, but the whole issue here is a matter of balance.
Dick Rylander, also a grandparent here, views it differently and urged voters to reject the levy in the voter pamphlet. He argues people are just tired of being asked to pay more.
I am concerned, but the reality is that I think the public believes that the school districts and government in general needs to live within the same means of the people who have to pay the bills.
In Battleground, Alma McCarty, KGW News.
Years of collaborative work between PGE and the Confederated Tribes of Warm Springs are finally showing some promise. Steelhead are returning in record numbers above the co-managed Pelton Round Dam complex on the Deschutes River. The dam cut off their historic spawning spot, and it took decades of trial and error by the tribes, PGE, and their partners to balance energy needs with fish survival.
When the dams were built, they attempted to do fish passage, and it didn't work out as well as they thought. They could get adults upstream to go spawn in the areas, but then they could not capture the juveniles coming back down to complete the life cycle.
The groups acknowledge this is just a step, but the new development gives hope for a healthier fish population. The latest installment of KGW's new Fresh from Oregon series highlights Oregon potatoes. Did you know, for instance, Oregon grows more potatoes per acre than the state of Idaho? I got the chance to chat with some people very familiar with Oregon's potato industry. In this shed at a farm on Sauvie Island sits a huge mound of potatoes.
Well, first of all, potatoes are the state vegetable, and Oregon is the fourth largest potato growing state in the country. So think about hash browns, French fries, tater tots, which were invented in Oregon, by the way.
Meet Gary Roth.
I am the executive director of the Oregon Potato Commission.
He says potatoes are powerhouses.
You know, that's the thing that I think most people really don't appreciate about potatoes, is just how healthy and nutritious they are. It's high in potassium. More potassium than a banana, actually. High in vitamin C.
But Oregon's unassuming state vegetable is also a financial powerhouse. They're exported internationally and are a big moneymaker for the roughly 100 potato farms in the state.
The farm gate value for potatoes is about $200 to $225 million, depending upon the year. So farm gate means that's what the farmers across the state who produce potatoes, that's what they receive.
How many pounds of potatoes do you think we produce as a state per year?
2.7 billion pounds.
Producing plenty of potatoes is a family affair for Cody Fazio, who farms with his two brothers.
My great-grandfather started growing potatoes back in the 20s, fourth generation, on my mom and dad's side. We mainly grow potatoes for potato chips, for Tim's potato chips and kettle.
The job, not easy, especially in our climate.
It's very difficult because we get a lot of rain.
Still, he's committed to the family tradition.
Farming is not an easy lifestyle. We put our blood, sweat, and tears in this every day, and I absolutely love it.
On Sauvie Island, Christine Penawanich, KGW News.
Good morning on a Friday. I'm meteorologist Rod Hill. This KGW-8+ weather update. Things are changing. If you've looked outside this morning, been out and about today, you've seen cloudiness as opposed to just sunny skies. By the way, 81 at PDX in the 4 o'clock hour was the high yesterday. That broke the old record by 1 degree, so a new record for the day. Now, as promised, we're getting into the cloud flow this morning from this low that's moving down into California. The system is starting to look weaker, not only migrating south, but looking weaker than it once upon a time did too. But it is throwing, you can see the cloud shield up across much of Oregon this morning. And we've had some rain in Eugene, we've had some rain in Newport, we've had some traces of rain about Albany way, and we're seeing some showers this morning start to move up the Cascades. Here's a look at just some of the clouds. These are cameras in the 7 o'clock hour this morning on this Friday from Chinook Winds Casino Resort. Got somebody taking an early morning walk with their dog, and that's definitely a dark cloud band offshore, isn't it? Yeah. Makes you think of some rain. Again, Newport, just south, had some rain this morning. Rose City waking up to some breaks in the cloud cover, but mostly cloudy overall. And here's the way Futurecast shows it. Futurecast is going to show much of today, much of tomorrow into Sunday morning as mostly cloudy. Now, at 8 o'clock this morning, this is showing the rain that we've had down around Eugene to Newport kind of fizzling out. And then it shows later today, here we are at 5 o'clock, another band of moisture working up. All of these are coming up to the north, and then somewhere on a line from about Bachelor to Eugene or up into Newport, the northward progression ends and the moisture washes out to sea. Again, the rotation is coming from that low that's going to be moving into about San Francisco. So the rotation around a low counterclockwise brings it up and then moves it back that way. So that's what we're seeing. And that's why models are still being insistent that none of this ever gets up into Portland over the weekend. There you go. This is same deal, 9 o'clock Saturday morning. Here we are Saturday at 5 p.m. So this definitely shows a shower chance and maybe some thunderstorms in eastern and central Oregon over the weekend as well. If this is exactly right, we'll actually get increasing sunshine in Portland Saturday afternoon. I wouldn't overly bet on that, but we'll see. Here's Sunday morning. I just wanted to show this could be a thick enough push of low marine clouds into the valley that we actually wake up Sunday morning some patchy drizzle. Maybe that's all the moisture we get. We'll see. Here's what the rain potential map is. We'll stop this, when are we stopping it? Sunday at 10 o'clock in the morning. You see measurable rainfall, again, generally the decent amounts are the southern half of our state. That shows John Day at 26 100ths. Shows North Bend. At one point, modeling was saying North Bend was like 85 100ths of an inch. That was just 2 days ago. Now the same models are going only 14 100ths of an inch. Some splinters of light precip climbing up the Cascades and making the way into the coast. Shows maybe just barely more than a trace of rain into Salem. So we'll see. So the tail to the forecast really today and tomorrow, if you're going to be out and about, realize almost all the time, if not all of it, will be dry. But there are showers expected that will be to our south. And the flow pattern overall is such that it's at least possible the showers migrate a little bit farther north at times than what the modeling is showing. So we'll see how it plays out. This is showing enough cloudiness down in Salem to hold you to about 70 for a high. Southwest Washington expected to be warmer, which was the case yesterday, warmer than the Central Valley was. Longview 76, Vancouver 77, winds are west 5 to 15 miles per hour. Here's your forecast map at 5 o'clock this afternoon. John Day 63, Baker City 68. Futurecast does show some rain showers, at least into tomorrow up into Baker City. This shows nearing 80 in the Dalles, 70 in Madras. Generally 50s at the coast, and shows 68 in Salem. Again, these are later this afternoon in Salem, or Portland rather, at 74. I have Portland's high at 77. Again, a mixed bag of cloudiness, some periods of some sun, a slight cool down, 77, 70, 64 on Sunday. Again, Sunday morning, maybe some patchy drizzle. There's a totally separate weather front that more and more of the models are picking up on now that would bring us some developing rain either Monday afternoon or Monday evening, and a potential for some fairly widespread rain into Tuesday morning with totals that could be up to about 1/4 of an inch, which we could use. Again, we have not had anything produce 1/4 of an inch of rain since the first week of April, which all of a sudden is quite a few weeks ago. So we could use some moisture. And in fact, the models now show we could be right back up to about 81 degrees Thursday of next week. That is your update. I'm meteorologist Rod Hill with this kgw-plus weather forecast.
And that's a wrap on your weekly recap. Again, I'm Christine Pitawanich. And a quick reminder, you can catch up on the latest headlines anytime at kgw.com, your KGW app, or on our YouTube channel.